Hey there guys, this is Dark Chieftain with another ACW Hardcore 1.2 mod commentary. This is going to be a 4v4 with myself, Bugs, Bucktail, and Major Han on the Union, fighting against Hubs, Sir Awesome, Perconti, and Soul Talk on the Confederates. I'm commanding the 5th Corps for the Union. Bugs is on our right flank, commanding 1st Corps. 2nd Corps is commanded by Bucktail, and left flank is 14th Corps, commanded by Major Han. I will put the map in post, but our goal initially is to get on this nice hill here, get artillery set up so we can get some nice fire on the enemy artillery. So we're going to go straight up the hill with artillery and skirmishers. We're more or less abandoning the north side of the map. Up here, we don't think there's going to be any fighting there. All the fighting is going to be based around this hill and this 2-point here. So 14th Corps is going to march up and take this 1 point and hold this woods, which is right in front of me here. I'm going to march up to his right and hold this sunken road deal. Use that for cover. And then this woods as well. To my right is going to be 2nd Corps. He is going to hold this forest here, and he's going to help me, if necessary, push into this forest if we need to. And then 1st Corps' job is to hold this 1 point in the south, as well as this woods, or these woods up here with the field in between. So here we have my artillery set up on the hill, some of my allies' artillery coming up to get set up as well. Basically, I have one mass battery here to try and counter the Confederate artillery. I was able to route a skirmisher just with my skirmishers here. Not a big deal. They're mostly used for scouting. There's some Confederate artillery in this woods here, as well as in this woods around here. Can't see it right now, but when they fire, you can see the smoke. So right now, it's just going to be an artillery duel, trying to drive each other's artillery from the field before the infantry gets up into firing range. So here we can see one of my units broke, and then one of 14th Corps' artillery units broke. This unit is still limbered up and seems to be glitched out. They're in the process of getting off their horses, and there goes another one of my unit. This did not go well for this artillery duel. Their artillery just was way more accurate, I'm guessing, because ours are in the open and theirs are in woods. Ours didn't stand a chance, and we got broken pretty quickly. My unit did come back. It looks like 14th Corps' unit is going to come back as well. This unit of mine I don't think comes back, but we're going to be at an artillery disadvantage pretty much the rest of the game. We can start seeing some of the Confederate forces. So here we have 2nd Corps, Johnson's division, under the command of Perconti. In what appears to be the center, they have right wing under the command of Soul Talk, although he ends up being on this flank over here and attacking our 1st Corps. Here we have Hood's division, commanded by either Sir Awesome or Hubs. They both took 1st Corps divisions. I'm not sure which one was which. You can see we drove off of some of right wing's smoothbore artillery pieces. And we're going to work on this next one here. Still moving our infantry up. Here we have 1st Corps and 2nd Corps kind of doubled up. We saw the position they were in. We were hoping that they didn't have enough forces in this woods, and we were going to move out and try to assault the woods and take it from them right away. They do end up having troops there. In the meantime, left flank under 14th Corps is going to hold this woods and not attack. He was a new player. I believe this is Major Han. This is one of his first battles in the mod. So his job is pretty much just to hold this flank here against the assault from Johnson's division. I was going to help him with my left flank while my center holds this road, likely against Hood's division. Here you can see on the left flank, I have opened fire. Oof, that guy just got hit hard by artillery. Johnson's division is making an assault on or at least getting within range on the left flank here, so I brought some units up, just enough up this rise that they can fire, but still be in some cover. So I opened fire on his flank, and I'm hoping to weaken him before he makes a full assault on this woods here. 14th Corps does make a slight mistake. He has multiple units sitting in the back not being used. That's like 4 infantry and a cavalry unit. So we're kind of weak in this left flank. I'm having to devote a lot of my reserves to double up his line and try and prevent a close range battle from going in Confederates' way. Here you can see his smaller unit of 10th Louisiana is already breaking. They're getting hit by direct artillery fire from the hill, from my 3rd Massachusetts Light Battery, as well as 2 or 3 of my infantry units. So they've lost 14 men. They broke, but they are gonna come back. 14th Louisiana is also taking some casualties, and that's about it. Here to my direct left, 14th Corps is moving some units up to try and get more fire on these Confederate units. And I think what the Confederate side realized is that I was kind of weak here. Not a lot of reserves. My artillery is on the verge of being gone completely. So they're actually going to focus an assault between his division and Johnson's division right in my center to try and destroy me, and then they can separate. Over here, right flank is still pretty far away, but he's going to be hitting the woods over here, looks like, against the 2nd Corps under the command of Bucktail. Bugs is going to be trying to assist me against Hood's division. Actually, this is Pickett's division. So you have Hoods and Pickett's both in the center field. They're going to be hitting myself with 5th Corps as well as Bugs with 1st Corps. Over here I have my 13th Bucktail Reserve. I kept them behind my lines initially so they didn't get targeted with artillery. Now I'm bringing them up because I know I'm going to need them against this assault. They have repeaters, so they can get a high volume of fire against the enemy despite only having 150 men-ish. The battle in the center's started. His men have not fired yet. My men have already sent off a couple volleys. I probably need to move these guys up a little bit. Looks like they can't actually hit anything other than the hill. Positions are not much better, but slightly better over here. Looks like they are getting some kills. They are not doing poorly. Over here, one of these units is Buck and Ball. I want to say it's the 146th New York. Actually, I take that back. It's the 155th Pennsylvania as a Buck and Ball Zouave unit. So they're not firing yet. They're holding fire until this unit's in range, which is going to be relatively close. And they'll open fire. Each shot, I believe, fires 2 rounds, so Buck and Ball is very deadly at close range. I'm going to run them up within range quick so I can get some good Buck and Ball shots off. He unleashed a volley and is immediately marching up. He's going to try to get into melee to rout this unit. He doesn't want to sit there and shoot it out with Buck and Ball, but I am going to get a very, like, half range volley against him. He lost 40 men in that volley, and he's going to come into melee with only about 100 men left, and his men are going to break very quickly because of that. That's a lot of men to lose in a single volley. He's also going to charge this unit into my 146th New York, but they're not even going to make it because they lost 40 men in the charge, or in the advance. My 155th Pennsylvania is pretty weak after that charge, so I'm going to pull them back as a reserve unit behind my line and try to plug the gap with some other units. You can see up and down the line, the battle's pretty much in full swing now. There's firing across every army except for 2nd Corps and right flank. Right wing rather. I knew I was wrong. So right wing is going to come around, push these skirmishers out, and try to flank 1st Corps. I don't think he realized that 2nd Corps is here. It would have been a good ambush on our part if 2nd Corps had stayed in the woods. It looks like he comes out of the woods to protect the flank, and now any sense of surprise we had there is going to be gone. It wasn't a predetermined strategy to my knowledge. It just kind of so back in the center where the heaviest fighting's going on, he has reformed his men, and he's coming in for a second charge against me. This unit of 17th Georgia is down to 95 men, just over half strength. My 14th US is doing pretty well right now. Getting some good volleys off at him. I got skirmishers firing over the heads of my men, just picking off, some of the Confederate soldiers here and there. I also have a unit of sharpshooters somewhere. They might be hiding in the woods. Ah, yes, right. So I put my sharpshooters on this flank. They have very long range and high accuracy, so I'm just going to sit over here and pick away at his men, try to weaken him as much as possible before he makes a full assault against this woods, if that does happen. Over here, my unit looks like 83rd Pennsylvania is about to break, so I have 16th Michigan up to replace it. At some point, I should pull the 83rd Pennsylvania back. It looks like I must be distracted because I have not done it yet. I also have the 13th Pennsylvania Reserve on this hill behind my men, getting some shots over their heads. This way they can do a lot of damage but not take any losses because they're more or less out of the range of the Confederates. They're taking some overshot casualties, but it's not as bad as it would be if they were up here getting direct targeted. So it looks like I lost my second line of men over here. 83rd Pennsylvania, I did pull them back, but it wasn't in time. They lost too many men. They broke. I have my general over here to try to bring them back. And over here in the middle, he does another melee charge. I rout one unit, 17th Georgia, who was already pretty weak, so it's not surprising. He's going to bring up the 20th Georgia to fill in the gap. 146th New York, which is decent men still, is getting low in morale, which sucks. It's one of my better units with 5th Corps. Really can't afford to lose them. Moving my 155th Pennsylvania with the buckshot, or buck and ball rather, to fill in the gap here and try and turn back this Confederate assault. You can see the 15th Georgia routed, as well as my 12th United States, which is right around 50% strength. There's a good chance they don't come back after this. Here I have my 13th Pennsylvania firing over the heads of my men into this Confederate unit in melee, trying to rout them before this unit of mine breaks. If we go to the right here, 1st Corps has moved up to support my flank, and he's getting some shots off at Pickett's division as well as Hood's division, filling in for my reserve unit that I had pulled back. Over on the right, 2nd Corps has moved up to use these woods as a defensive position. Right wing is just set up just outside of range. They're going to sit there and wait till the perfect time to strike and just more or less steamroll through 2nd Corps. Right wing is a little bit broken. They've got extremely good melee stats. Basically, all you need to do is put them in melee and just walk through the enemy. And more often than not, they'll just win. So over here, my center is not doing very well. Multiple units breaking. At this point, I figure that my chances of winning the center fight are pretty low. We're going to have to win on one of the flanks in order for the team to win. I'm moving reserves from my left flank over to my center to plug the gap. Thankfully, I was able to get the 155th Pennsylvania out without getting meleeed because of the terrain here. It's not all passable. So they're having to run around the side, but they didn't get melee charge, which is good. I got my 13th Pennsylvania reforming. They're going to hopefully open fire soon. A couple of my other reserve units, full strength. Got my general over here to bring back my routed units. As you can see, almost half my army's routing right now. It's not looking good. It's a mistake I make more often than I'd like, where I end up fighting multiple parts of multiple enemy armies. So you have a third of my army was fighting Johnson's division, a third of my army was fighting Hood's division, and then the very right flank had a little bit of Pickett's division, but mostly Hood's division. So I'm trying to do too much, and I'm too spread out, and they're able to overwhelm me just by sheer numbers. And my units weren't able to keep up. As you can see, it's not looking good in the center here. Most likely that I'm going to lose entirely. 1st Corps is also getting his flank turned just because I lost in the center. He's having to adjust units to try and fight off these two Hoods Texas brigades, which are the better, more elite brigades in the Hoods division. On the right flank, 2nd Corps and right wing are just sitting here. Looks like right wing's just starting to make an advance. At this point, they're winning pretty handily in the center, so he doesn't have to worry about overextending or anything like that. They do have a numbers advantage. My army's falling apart left and right. Meanwhile, 14th Corps is doing pretty good. He's brought up his men from the back that weren't doing much. He's going to try to flank Johnson's division. He did do a cavalry charge over here, which didn't go well. Cavalry is not good against infantry in terms of charges. You can dismount them and fight in line. That's your best bet against infantry, but generally with melee and with cav, they're good against other cav or artillery, and that's about it. So his unit got pushed back pretty hard. Lost over half its, no, just under half its men, and only killed 23 guys. So not worth it for that charge. Over here, I've kind of reformed my line. A lot of my units are weak, but did come back, so I'm trying to get them back into the fight as soon as I can. Get tired and very tired, so they're not going to be very effective, but I need to do something to plug this gap so that first corps doesn't get rolled completely. Over here, right wing has pulled up in range, but he's sitting on the edge of max range, not fully committing yet. He's just going to skirmish with second corps. Weaken him a bit before getting up close and charging through. Looks like he has 16 units of infantry, which is pretty good. Usually in this mod with the multiplayer army, you have around 11 to 15 units of infantry. If you got more elite units, it's 11, and if you've got some more cheaper units, it's going to be more long 14 to 15 units of infantry or of line with the current rules, which is 12 barrels of artillery per person maximum. Maximum of, I believe it's 2 or 3 sharpshooters and 2 cav, and then everything else can be infantry. So in the center, my men are pretty outnumbered, about 2 to 1 in terms of regiment strength. I've got a new line formed here, and we are holding for the moment, but unless something changes on that right flank, it's not going to go well for us. My units and first corps units are tired, and they're breaking left and right. Thankfully, the attack in the center here is starting to get weak as well, so I'm pushing some units back. 15th Georgia is routed, and the 47th Alabama's got less than half strength. They're fighting against the 13th Pennsylvania, so they're doing a lot of damage with those repeaters. They will run out of ammo before long with repeaters, just because of the high rate of fire and to help with balance. They don't have a lot of ammo, so they run out much quicker than other units. Here, the 11th United States was looking like they might break, so I brought my general over, trying to inspire them and keep them in the fight. Some of these units are pretty weak. If I had artillery, I might be able to rout them, but because my artillery is already gone, they're going to stay here as long as their casualties stay above 50%. It's just a matter of time of attrition, more or less, before my army is pushed back entirely. As you can see, there's almost constant routing. So I made a lot of mistakes, fighting in the open field, losing my artillery early, kind of overextending myself. Over here, 14 Corps is trying to assault to pull a victory out of defeat, more or less. His 2 units that have been fighting for a while, both routed. He's going to move up some reserves to replace them. And what we really need is for 2nd Corps to beat right wing and for 14th Corps to flank and roll Johnson's division's flank up and through. Over here, 2nd Corps and right wing are still at max range. 1st Corps looks like he's pulling back to try and even out his lines with my lines. His left flank is starting to collapse, so he's having to pull back. He's shifting some of his elite units, Iron Brigade, 7th Wisconsin, over to the left to hold. He's still getting attacked by the Texas regiments, which are, again, the elite regiments from Hood's division. I'm also pulling back a little bit, getting my 13th Pennsylvania out of there. They're taking heavy casualties. Just trying to delay as long as I can and hope that this flank on the left wins before I'm destroyed completely. I brought my sharpshooters over from the left flank. They're getting some pot shots off at the center of Johnson's division. Here, my 10th Pennsylvania is gone. Here we got 1st Corps left flank being reformed. You got the 24th Michigan, relatively elite unit, facing off against basically 5 units at the moment, 5 regiments. What he really needs to do is pull his left flank into this woods and don't have this unit out in the open because he's so outnumbered by guns. He needs every advantage he can. If he sits in the woods, he'll get a cover bonus and take way less casualties. But as you can see, between my men and 1st Corps, there's a lot of dead Union. It's not been going well for us in this flank. I believe these are Iron Brigade units here. Maybe, maybe not. At least some of them are. You can see the Confederate. Still plenty of Confederates, but they're more spread out, and there's just not as many as the Union. The Union is just piles of dead. And here, the 24th Michigan, down to 71 men, is broken, and he's going to have to pull this unit of 7th Wisconsin back, as well as the remainder of his center. Over here, I was able to get some of my units back, let them get rested up. I formed a new line, just, again, trying to delay as long as possible so 14th Corps can make some progress. And Johnson's division over here is doing the same thing. I believe that's Perconti. He is kiting 14th Corps back, just fighting and distracting him long enough for myself and 1st Corps to be destroyed completely. 14th Corps is having to move units out of his reserve and over to his right flank to hold against Johnson's division. Here I've got some flanking fire on the 10th Louisiana, who's down to 77 men. My unit is tired, so their accuracy is not going to be great. They're not going to be getting that many kills, but the morale hit should at least help 14th Corps in this fight. Here's some of 14th Corps' units are breaking, but he's still pushing on the left flank. He's got his guys nice and spread out so that they don't take too much artillery hit, and that way he can use less men to hold his main line while he's able to extend the flank and try and spread Johnson's division out to give himself an advantage. Over here it's not looking great for my guys. I do have a line holding, but there's not many men left. They've outnumbered probably 3 to 1 at this point. They're going to get flanked on the right. 155th Pennsylvania getting hit by a canister from this unit of 12-pound Napoleons. Very deadly. You can see a lot of men dead there. And that unit's going to be gone for the rest of the game. 1st Corps is also not looking too hot. They're getting rolled up pretty good. 2nd Corps is holding his own, but it's only a matter of time since his left flank is going to be exposed without 1st flank holding it. Right flank of the Confederates is slowly but surely getting closer and closer. Right wing, sorry. So here you can see 2nd Corps is having to shift reserves to his left to hold against the remainders of Pickett's division, which is going to weaken his main line and allow right wing to move forward and potentially sweep him from the field. You can see right wing's units have been taking decent casualties. I would say until this point, 2nd Corps has been mostly winning this long-range battle. There you can see my skirmisher, or my sharpshooters ran out of ammo. But especially out in this open field on the Confederate far left, these Union units have lost less than 50 men probably. These Confederate units over here, this one's lost 30, this one's lost 50 on its own. So this one's lost 26. So they're getting hit pretty hard in the field here, but with those reserves moving over, it's not going to matter. 2nd Corps is going to be outnumbered. He's going to get melee charged here in this woods. He's having to pull back, try to kite right wing. Here he's sacrificing the 71st Pennsylvania, try and slow down right wing's advance so he can get his reserves over and hopefully handle this attack. At this point, I believe 1st Corps is down to just this one infantry and maybe some artillery. Actually, looks like his artillery's already gone. That was one of the big factors of this battle, is we lost our artillery very early. We didn't have a lot of artillery left. I'm desperately trying to keep my last few units in the fight. 13th Pennsylvania. It's down to half strength. They're not happy about it. My general's down to 3 men, and in a few minutes here, or maybe probably a few seconds, I'm going to be out of units, and our center is going to be broken entirely. We don't have a center anymore. And from here on out, it's pretty much just Confederates mopping up the Union. They hold valiantly, but it's outnumbered and outgunned. The Union just couldn't do it. So here you can see a big melee. Second Corps is going to lose this. Right wing has crazy melee. He's supported by some of Pickett's division, who also has good melee. So the odds are stacked against Second Corps. Here you got some cavalry trying to hold the woods, and you have some artillery. He's probably trying to canister or close range shrapnel shot, but 3-inch guns are better for long range counter battery. They're not great for close range. Napoleons and other smoothbore weapons are better. So it actually looks like he might be targeting this melee mass, trying to get as many kills as he can, maybe route some units there. But Second Corps' left flank is completely broken at this point. He's going to have to do a fighting retreat and just fight for pride, since the battle is more or less unwinnable at this point with how many men the Confederates have left. Myself and Bugs in the center, we didn't do that great of a job holding the center. We got beat pretty bad. But you know, it's part of the game. You win some, you lose some. Over here, 14th Corps, still fighting. He's still doing decent, but he has lost a few units and is going to be outnumbered and outflanked. I believe at some point during this battle, we found out afterwards that Perconti had to leave, so he put his men in a line and just left them there, and then came back later after the battle was pretty much over. We didn't know that in the game, and at this point we knew it was a lost cause. Over here, right wing's just going to mass melee charge Second Corps, since Second Corps is so weak and outnumbered. He's just going to blindly charge in and try to finish him off as quickly as possible. Some of these units are holding pretty well. This one's about to potentially rout this 6th Kentucky. But with generals both involved and the better melee of the right wing, Second Corps is going to break. And he's going to break all across the line. He's down to 1 unit that's still fighting. And they're going to be gone too. And you notice that their flag disappeared instantly. They are completely shattered. Actually, they're broken, but they're so close to the edge of the map that they immediately redlined. So that unit, even if it was like 139 out of 140 men, they're gone for good. There he charged, Second Corps charges general in just to get it over with. There's my general. Actually, no, it's Second Corps general dying. Mine must have routed. And all that is left in our center and right flank is Second Corps artillery here, which is glitched out and unable to do anything. He couldn't limber them or anything like that, so they're just going to sit there and die. And it's going to be down to mopping up 14th Corps. I'm going to fast forward for the rest of the fight, just so we can get to the stats. At this point, we told 14th Corps, we're not going to win. There's no point in fighting strategically. Just take all your men, charge them into the Confederates, and get them all to break so we can get to the end screen where we can save the replay. Here you can see the final charge. These guys are running, but they're exhausted, so they're moving super slow. As you can see, it's like slow motion charging. Kind of a exaggerated example of why you don't want to ever charge if you're tired or exhausted. You see the very tired unit caught up and outran the exhausted unit pretty easily. Just because every tier of tiredness that you have, you're going to get slower and slower and just less good at fighting. Anything tired, very tired, exhausted, you may as well not have the unit fight, keep them in reserve, or just have them sit there and on hold fire until they're fully rested, or at least rested to active or winded. The debuffs when men are tired or exhausted are so major that your unit will be more or less useless. Even the most elite units in the game will be pretty much useless if they're exhausted. So you can see that's pretty much the end of it. There's one unit hiding over here. So 14th Corps General died. So looks like the 84th New York, a relatively elite unit from 1st Corps, has come back. He's just going to move them. Even though they're exhausted, he's going to charge and get the battle over with. So here you can see Union did not do great. I had 1,400 losses, only 900 killed. I'll put the full consolidated stats up in post. You can see the Confederates all did well. Every single one of them had a positive KD. 3 of them had a 2-to-1 ratio, killed to lost. So our team in general, we just didn't do that well. Major Hand didn't lose that many because he didn't fight the whole time. He was holding a position. It's not that he didn't want to or wasn't able. The strategy was for him to hold and not attack out in the open field. So he didn't lose that many men. You can see my best unit was lost more than it killed. 13th Pennsylvania, 116 kills, 77 losses. But if we go down to the artillery, 2 kills, 16 losses, 17 kills, 23 losses. Basically useless. Almost may as well have not brought artillery because of how poorly they did. But that's it for this one. I look forward to the next one.